Motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Carla? Joe?
Here.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Corey?
Here.
Anna?
Yes.
Brianna? Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. We've got some very special people here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you want to talk a little bit
Sure.
about that?
So if I could have our class of 2021 retirees.
Oh, we got.
Sorry, we need to do roll call.
Oh,
Oh, I thought
sorry.
you said. Yeah,
And we
okay,
need to
roll
call
call
the meeting
again.
to order.
I reconvene the open session, the governing board meeting. There you go. One of those too.
Sorry.
Roll call vote? No, that's okay.
Joe?
Yeah, it's still here.
Lizzie?
Here.
Renee?
Here.
Corey?
Here.
Anna?
Here.
Brianna?
Here.
Carla? We have quorum.
Okay, we've got some very special people joining us for the pledge.
Okay. So we do have the class of 2021 retirees with us today. So if you could please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're on to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Lizzie?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Brianna?
Yes.
Carla? Joe?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, so we start with our superintendent's showcase. The administration will acknowledge and celebrate and provide the retirees with their gifts from the Board of Education.
Yes, so good evening, everybody. Not all of our retirees were able to be here in person tonight, but we wanted to make sure you all got a chance to know about the honorees that are here and are not able to be here. Tonight we're going to celebrate the numerous contributions that you've made to Life in the W with a short video. In the slides you're going to see some favorite memories, some proudest moments, advice to colleagues, and well wishes. Some of the retirees thanked their coworkers, some shared some funny stories, and commented how meaningful it is to be part of such a diverse district, and almost everyone talked about the memories and the connections that you've made throughout your careers here with us. So with that, I'd like to enjoy the video. Autographs afterwards. turned out wonderful, and that was done by the retirement committee that put those together. That was wonderful. So thank you to the retirement committee who did that. So normally this is, when we are retirees, we normally, at the end of the year, we have a big party, and we, it's something that it was kind of a Woodland tradition for years. And unfortunately, last year and this year, we weren't able to do that. So we thought as a small token of our appreciation, we could at least honor you here tonight for everything that you've done. I know all of you, and it is a joy to work with you. You have just touched so many children and so many families, and reading those that was so inspirational. So thank you so much. But now what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask two board members to join me. We have a few. I'm going to talk about. Make sure you don't forget anybody. So I'm just going to stay here so people can hear me in the microphone, and Laura's going to help. So from our primary school this year, we have some people that aren't here, but I'm going to mention their names. Lori Marr and Soraya Oyos. They're both not here tonight, but they are retiring, so congratulations to them. At elementary, we have Pam Horn, Kathleen I'm going to say this wrong. I've practiced. Milovanovic. Thank you. Corrine Smith, Linda Titus, and Kathy Townsend. Ann Tussing is here. So Ann, come on up. You're our first person to celebrate tonight. Ann has been at Woodland for 15 years. She's been in education for over 30 years, and she is currently a math specialist. So any words of advice, anything you'd like to say, Ann?
Just love what you do.
Good.
Love what you do and love the kids.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next, at intermediate, we have Pam Krieger, who's not able to be here tonight, but we do have Robin Heiser. And I was in Robin's classroom today, and I promised her I wasn't going to say anything embarrassing. So I won't, except to say that I love being in Robin's classroom, just like Robin's children love being in Robin's classroom. So Robin, if you want to come up, you've been here. You've been here for 35 years of service, and you've been a fourth grade teacher. And you've done other jobs in the district, other grades, correct?
Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Wow. Anything you'd like to share?
Always remember that we're here for the children.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Next, we have Christine Lawrence. Christine, come on up. Chris has been here for 24 years, and she is a paraprofessional in our district. So congratulations, Christine. Anything you'd like to say?
Just love the kids and show patience.
That's right. Show patience. That's right. Thank you. Leslie Newman, I don't see Leslie here tonight, but she has been here for 25 years. Julia Plesha. Come on up. Julia has been here for 25 years. 24 years. She has been our school nurse. She was our lead school nurse. She tried to leave, but I stalked her, and she came back. So we knew we needed Julia back, and she came back. So congratulations, Julia, and thank you for everything. Any words of advice, anything you'd like to share?
I say just do the next best thing.
Good. Well deserved. Okay, Kathy Shinners. Kathy has been here 34 years, and she's a fifth grade advanced language arts and math teacher. So any words of advice for us?
At a workshop a couple years ago, I learned the platinum rule, which is treat others the way they would like to be treated, and that really resonated with me, as opposed to the way I think I want to be treated isn't always the way they want to be treated.
That's
And I think
right.
that's a good lesson.
It's a great lesson. Thank you. Okay, Janet Spencer, come on down. Woohoo! 36 years of service. Janet's been a special education. Have you been a special education teacher the whole time? Yes. Wonderful. I was walking by Janet's room today, and she was too busy with her children. She had no idea I was even there. So that's how Janet's days are all the time. But Janet, anything you'd like to share?
Oh, I'm just fortunate to have such wonderful colleagues in our building, so they help us survive day to day.
Yes. Congratulations. All right, Dr. T, Tim Terrell, come on up. Tim has been here for 25 years. Tim, did you start, were you a social worker here, and then you, yes. So Tim was a social worker, and then he left and he came back as an assistant principal, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and he's currently at the intermediate school. Anything you'd like to share with us?
No, just it was an honor and privilege to work here.
It was an honor and privilege to have you work here, so thank you. Okay, next up we have Ginger Winky. Ginger has been here for 23 years, and Ginger is a social worker. So Ginger, we needed you more than ever this year, and thank you for everything you did. It's a great year for you to take a little time for yourself and for your family, so thank you so much. Anything you'd like to share?
Thank you very much, and be kind.
Be kind, that's right. Very good. We have, at the middle school, we have some people that are not here this evening. They're not here this evening. We have Tony Ripple, Judy Ryan, Kat Shea, and Hilda Roman. And in transportation, our transportation department, Marsha Luna, Bill Ersbro, and Dr. Vandenbroek, who is not here. Some of these people retired during the year, so they're not here either. But again, I can't thank you enough. Congratulations on behalf of all of us here. You've given your lives to Woodland, and you've made impressions with everybody. Each one of you has made an impression on me. There's many, many times when people aren't looking, when you don't think people are looking, and they see what you're really doing, and it's amazing. So thank you so much. And board members, is there anything you'd like to add?
I want to thank you in from a couple of different perspectives. First, as a teacher, I think it really takes a special person to go into education, and it takes a really, really special person to stay in it, right, and to retire from it. And watching, the video and seeing all of your wonderful words of advice and all the many ways that you've helped our students over the years and been the heart of Woodland. I really, really appreciate that. And as a dad, because my kids loved you, and would talk about how many positive experiences they had with those of you who they were fortunate enough to be with. And I'm just so appreciative of that because I'm their dad. And all I want is for them to have positive experiences in the classroom, and with you they did. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you to all of you, even though I don't know each and every one of you personally. I remember moving to this district thinking, oh my God, it's just way too big. I came from 56, and I thought my kids will never make it in this district. And each one of you have touched my kids and just made everything just so smooth. Down to Dr. T, I remember coming in. I never knew you were a social worker, but I remember coming in one day saying, I don't know Common Core math. How could you guys give my kids Common Core math? And you said, calm down. And I'm like, I can't even help my kids do homework. And you said, we'll get somebody to help you. Calm down. Now I know why you were able to calm me down. But it's those things that you all probably don't even know that you do on a daily basis that helps parents like me and my children and other children in the district. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for caring about our kids. So for you, it may have been, you're just on your job, but you don't even understand how your job has impacted our families and our communities. So thank you.
And thank you for all your years of service. And just I have to say, as a district, I think we need to be proud, and it's a true testament to the district that we have such longevity of staff members. So, they truly love what they do. They support each other. I think that's got to be the key to having people stay in a position longer than I can ever imagine working somewhere. So thank you.
I'd also like to say, kind of similar to Renee, that we moved here from a much smaller district, and we're very concerned about, how our kids would fare. And one of my kids landed in Dr. Heiser's class, and it was a very good place to land. And we felt very, she just brought us in, and it was a really good experience. So watching that video was very inspiring. It's a good reminder of all the, the best of the reasons that all of us are here. And thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything. Obviously, you'll remember this is the most interesting year of your career, so thank you for sticking it out and counting down the days until you're. So enjoy your time off. I'm very jealous. So.
I'd just like to say that in running for the board, I've used the phrase, make Woodland the best it can be, and it's because of you. You're doing the daily grind. You're interacting with all the kids, and it's you guys who are making our district great.
Wonderful. So thank you so much again. I just, one more round of applause. And now you're free to go play.
Yeah, cool science.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Can you get the next group in? Thank you. So this is taking a little bit longer than normal, but I think that's okay.
I think so.
You think it's okay? Okay. Our next group is coming in now. We've been separating everybody out in the hallway due to social distancing, so the next group is coming in now. Another fun thing to celebrate. And Corey and Anna, can you help Laura with this one? Thank you. Sure. Come on in, have a seat. We don't bite, I promise. Hi, come on in.
Yeah, sure. So at this point, we're going to recognize and acknowledge, very, very proudly acknowledge our 2020-2021 Teachers of the Year from each school. And gifts will be presented. So Dr.
Sure.
Casey?
So I'm going to stay here only because we're trying to, be safe with social distancing. But what a year to be Teacher of the Year, right? We had over 500 nominations, and in front of you are the people that ended up on the top of those lists. So that's amazing in itself. I was able to be part of some of the ceremonies when they when they found out that they had won, and everybody is, they're so humble and they don't realize the impact that they've made. But you truly, truly have. So it's our pleasure tonight to honor you and to thank you. So I'm going to tell just a little bit about each of you. So when we do, we'll come up and we have a small token of our appreciation from the board, okay? So first, Amber. Amber Butel is from primary. Amber has been a kindergarten teacher at Woodland Primary for 7 years. She has a master's. You can just stay right here. It's okay. Come on up, maybe so they can see you in the camera. There you go. Now you just have to give about a 15-minute speech. Just kidding. Just
What's
kidding.
your secret?
Just Katie Hall has to do that. She has a master's degree in early childhood leadership and advocacy, and she is known at Woodland Primary for her innovative approaches to teaching. She's been nominated for Teacher of the Year 5 out of the last 7 years, and she has been the Woodland Primary winner twice.
Wow.
So congratulations to Amber. Thank you, Amber. Next up is Jeb Fleming. Mr. Fleming began working in special education as a paraprofessional in Lake Forest. He came to Woodland in 2013 as a paraprofessional and continued to pursue his dream of becoming a teacher. Once he completed his master's degree in special education, Woodland hired Jeb as a resource teacher at the middle school. He then moved to Elementary West as an instructional teacher, where he is well loved by students, families, and colleagues. In his time at Elementary West, Jeb has also been a team leader and a mentor to many new staff members. And when Jeb got his award, I was lucky enough to be in his classroom, and it was funny. So if you want to tell the story, you can tell the board the story.
There's nothing like Lori Casey showing up in the middle of your math center to like throw you completely off. Yeah.
So when he was, I said, I need to see you in the hallway right now. And he just,
That's terrifying.
he was terrified. And so then I needed to see him because I needed to tell him that he was Teacher of the Year. But it was cute. His kids were involved in it, but also he felt there were so many teachers, and we all agree, that worked so hard this year that were so deserving, and he spoke about that a little bit too. So anyway, so congratulations. Katie Howell. Katie Howell was our Elementary West winner. Elementary East winner. Katie is, I should know that. Katie is a first grade teacher at Elementary East, and this is her 19th year of teaching. The overwhelming sentiment in her Teacher of the Year nominations is that she always goes above and beyond for her students, especially this year during remote learning. She treats each child with respect, and she teaches her students to respect each other. Katie always tells students that it's okay if you don't know it yet, and she reinforces this with her class mantra, which I know is we have grit and we won't quit. So that's what she teaches the little ones. Katie has been a leader in so many things in our district. Invites me over, last year before this, invited me over all the time to say, look what we're doing now. Look what we're doing with restorative practices. Look what we're doing. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Katie's inspirational. So congratulations, Katie. Jane Weiland from Intermediate. Jane began her career as an educator in 1999 when she was hired as a first grade teacher at Woodland. While at Woodland, she's been a third grade teacher, a reading recovery teacher, and she's currently teaching fourth grade. She's committed to creating meaningful and relevant educational experiences to inspire students and to make them active participants in the learning process. She is motivated by the curiosity of her students and has been thoroughly impressed by their ability to adapt to numerous changes during the school year. Every day, she looks forward to learning with her students. Congratulations, Jane. And last, but certainly not least, our not only the middle school teacher of the year, but the Gurney teacher of the year, Mrs. Joy Barb Connect. So Joy and I have known each other for 20, well, I don't know how that happens because we're like 20, but we've known each other for a long time. And I just want to read to you some of the things that her students were on her nomination forms. She's always happy, optimistic, and laughing. She has a positive attitude towards teaching, and her positivity spreads to her students. Mrs. Barb Connect is always able to relate to students effortlessly. She understands the situations we may be facing, and she's empathetic about it. I feel safe, and I feel comfortable when I'm in her Google Meets. She respects her students, and she's always asking for our input. She understands that we have thoughts and opinions, and she makes sure we're involved as much as possible with what's happening in our classroom on a day-to-day basis. And then I had to share what Joy wrote when she found out she was nominated. I have a wonderful team that supports one another, and I'm very lucky to have found them. I love teaching 8th graders. They're at a crossroads in their life. And if I can help them make good choices for themselves and teach them to work hard and be kind to other people, then I have done my job. I try to teach them through the guise of history to leave this world better off than when they got here. I hope I'm doing that.
That's right.
You are
That's
doing
just
that.
right. Yeah.
Congratulations. So board members, anything you'd like to say?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. Like Corey Holmer said, this has been an unbelievable year that has really tested us as teachers. And first of all, for there to be 500 nominations for Teacher of the Year means that people are appreciating what teachers are doing. And for you to have won this award means they're really appreciating what you're doing. And Lord knows I am. Thank you very, very much for your hard work and for your ability to connect with students and create positive learning experiences in your classroom and make people feel good around you to be going to class and to be going to school. I really appreciate all of your hard work.
I will say thank you is not enough.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I have 2 kids at home doing remote learning. And every day, I want to give up. I do. And I'm on the school board. And the homework, it makes me want to just Oh, God. So for you all to do this for multiple children in multiple classes every day, thank you is not enough, because you're certainly not doing it for the money. So to have, like Joe said, over 500 people nominated, and for you all to get this award means that you all are doing something that is way above and beyond. So I'm going to say thank you because that's the only words that we have, but it is not enough. I hope you all enjoy whatever your plants and whatever I don't know, a great dinner tonight, I don't know, but just know that you are appreciated, and especially from me and this board.
Yes.
We appreciate you, especially during this time.
Anybody else?
Well, I would just like to say that I think we all have in our heads, we remember that one or two or, a handful of teachers who really left an impression on us, and just hope that you guys know that you are that person for your children, and that the lessons that they learn from you, and just the example that you set will be with them forever, and that's a really powerful thing. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. All right, have a wonderful evening.
Okay. Two? Okay. Two? Did you say three? Two. All right. Thanks. That was great.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, that was really, really
great.
great. It just
They're great.
makes me feel so good to see so many amazing teachers and folks who've been dedicated to the district for so long. So thank you, and our award winners. Are we ready to move on?
Yes, we're waiting for,
Okay.
they're going to come in now.
So next we have citizen statements. The board invites members of the public to provide citizen statements at the May board meeting. Come on in. In person to participate, an electronic sign-up was provided for individuals to sign up prior to the meeting for an added safety measure to eliminate the use of pens or the need to pass paper. Upon entry into the Educational Support Center, citizens self-certified with an administrator. The board will allow one person at a time in the room to share your statement, and then you will exit the building. Masks are required at all times. There is a second opportunity for citizen statements near the end of the meeting. If you wish to provide a citizen statement during the second opportunity, you'll be asked to wait in a designated area in the ESC until you are invited back into the meeting room to provide your statement. So would you mind stating your name for the...
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah.
Good evening. My
Oh, wait,
name is
I'm sorry. Can you, just for the record, can you say your name?
Kristen Lamanna.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Lamanna, and I'm a resident of the district, a mother of two, and someone who asks a lot of questions. One question I can't seem to get an answer to is how the board feels about critical race theory. So I'm here to voice my opposition to it. While we've all been busy raising our kids to know right from wrong, to work hard, critical race theory does the opposite. It teaches that regardless of how hard you work, equity says we all have to get the same outcome. It says we all have to get the same outcome, and whether or not you do the right thing, your intentions are racist. While we teach our kids that diversity is a beautiful thing, critical race theory teaches that we must judge people and divide them by color. It seems our kids are being taught what to think and not how to think. Instead of teaching equity, we should be teaching equality. Instead of teaching critical race theory, we should be teaching critical thinking. The administration needs to go back and focus on the fundamentals. In 2009, nearly 92% of fourth graders met or exceeded math standards, compared to only 34% meeting or exceeding the goals in 2019. That's a 58% decrease. What's not decreasing are property taxes. Instead of spending valuable resources on divisive misinformation, such as the equity consultant who shares racist articles online, we should be investing into the fundamental education of our kids. I don't want my kids to learn that America is a racist country, nor do I want my tax money paying for an equity page full of articles telling them they are born racist, privileged, or are oppressors. MLK looked to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Critical race theory discriminates by skin color. It's dishonest, divisive, and has no place in our schools. With great power comes great responsibility, and you all have a great responsibility to make sure our kids are getting a solid education without ideologies, politics, and division. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Lynn Ulrich.
Hi. Hi. Could you state your name, please?
Lynn Ulrich.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm a mom. My daughter's graduating this year, and I have a son that is going into 7th grade. I've loved Woodland for years, loved the teachers. My daughter was principal for a day. I've been a room mom for years and years, so have a lot of good things to say about it. I wanted to talk a little bit about masks and vaccines today. I'm an anesthetist. I've been working with airways for 30 years. I monitor oxygen, carbon dioxide, vital signs on patients. I have them come in with masks on. I take them off, give them oxygen, so I'm very well knowledgeable about airways and oxygen. A lot of people say, just put the mask on, it's good. Put it on, it saves lives. Well, I'm going to go over different reasons why it's not good. There's multiple reasons. It increases your risk of resistance on inhalation of every single breath. Every single breath that you breathe in against the barrier takes more effort, more stress. Every time you exhale, you've got to get that air past the barrier. That is stressful. It decreases the amount of oxygen. People who have these puffy masks, it traps carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide you exhale is 4%. Inhaled carbon dioxide in the air is 0.038%. It's a huge difference. Every time you inhale that carbon dioxide, you're diluting the amount of oxygen you inhale. That increases stress, right? Stress increases your adrenaline and cortisol. When your body is busy fighting to breathe, it is not able to heal things, and your immune response goes down. Psychologically, right? These kids, their mask is covering their face. They're just eyes, okay? They're not even human anymore. You have to breathe deeper. You have to increase your rate of breathing on every single breath, every minute, okay? Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure goes up. It is very unhealthy. Not to mention, if you take the kids' mask off, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's full of dirt and bacteria. I have a picture I'll show you later. I tested a mask I wore for 1 hour in my house. It grew tons of bacteria, tons of mold. The kids are sucking this in every time they breathe. That goes directly into their lungs, okay? That's extremely bad for them. To the vaccine, okay? It's really not a vaccine. If you look at the definition of a vaccine, it causes immunity. This thing does not cause immunity. Thousands of people are turning up positive for COVID. They're catching it. They're spreading it. It's not a vaccine. It is an RNA modifier. If you take this stuff, it modifies your RNA, which is a gene. It's genetically modifying your body. Okay, read up on it, please. There's over 4,000 people that have died from taking this. Well, actually, it's the VAERS site. The VAERS site only has 1% of people that report to it. There's over 4,000 people in America that have died after taking this vaccine, okay? You have to look that up. Many of them are kids, okay? Kids under 20 have a 99.99% chance of recovery if they get COVID. It's like the flu. They are not the people that cause death, right? The people that are dying are over 75, you know, and the life expectancy is 70-something anyway in America, okay? So we're covering these kids' mouth. It's just awful. So please, please, take the mask off of our kids. Please do not push these vaccines on these kids. You know, I got two names, right? Cameron Thomas, 16-year-old Wisconsin girl. She died 11 days after getting this shot, okay? Blood clots. 16-year-old. Just think if it was your daughter. John Francis Foley, 21-year-old Cincinnati kid in medical school. He died that day, 24 hours after taking the shot. I mean, this stuff is really bad. Please look into it more. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I just say something real quick? I'm not sure what our mask policy is for the building, but can we take a look before we let people in? They're wearing mesh masks. They're not wearing two-ply or anything. They're wearing see-through masks. I mean,
Sure.
I know we have a policy in that we're wearing masks in public, like we're wearing masks inside. If we're allowing people to come inside, I'd appreciate if they were wearing two, like 2 layers, 3 layers, whatever it is that we're asking.
Okay, whatever the board would like us to do.
Not a see-through mask.
Huh?
Not a see-through mask.
Both of them were see-through mesh masks. Those were masks. Those were appearance. I mean, that's so.
Okay.
So is that what you'd like us to do moving
In the
forward?
future, if we have public statements, I would appreciate, if we.
Yeah, we just need to clarify our mask policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to status of requests from board members, recap future board items, correspondence. The first, correspondence to the board and direction on response. There were several correspondences to the board for the month of May, one of which required a response from the board, Kristen Lamana. Draft response has been provided. See any need for changes?
I don't.
Okay. Hearing none. The next is receipt of Freedom of Information Act requests. There were no Freedom of Information requests for the month of May. Right? Okay. We're on to consent agenda. Detailed description of the consent agenda was in your board packets. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla, Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Next, action items. Can I have a motion to approve room 27 at Elementary East as the Pat Termini Memorial Speech Room?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Would you like to?
I'd just like to say on behalf of her husband, I'm sure he'd be very grateful for this on behalf of Pat, who I'm sure is probably watching this board meeting now. It's very much appreciated. And it also should be known the board, through our policy committee, we have it on the agenda to, in the future, determine how memorials will be handled when we have requests from families. So that's something that the policy committee will be discussing. But for tonight, on behalf of her family, I'm sure they'll be very grateful if this is passed. Very special.
Any questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla, Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, item B is the approval of a one-year extension of Envision 2.0 for grades K through 5. Can I please have a motion to approve the purchase of Sava's Envision 2.0 2016 at a cost of $107,137.08 for the support of math instruction for all kindergarten through 5th grade students?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Anything to? No? No? Okay. Roll call vote?
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla, Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Item C, approval of one-year Glencoe math for grades 6 through 8. Can I please have a motion to approve the purchase of McGraw-Hill's Glencoe math at a cost of $49,317.30 for the support of math instruction for 6th through 8th grade students?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla, Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna.
Yes.
Item D, the approval of IASB Delegate Assembly resolutions. Can I please have a motion to approve the submission of the 2021 Delegate Assembly resolutions as presented?
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Anna? Okay.
Okay, we had a second?
Yes,
Okay, got
Corey.
it. All right, so I know that this was in our packets. Any discussion, Dr. Casey?
No, this was something that we discussed last month as a report. It's the resolution that we would be putting forward to the Delegate Assembly regarding state-authorized charter schools.
Okay.
I just have one question. Have we put these forward before?
Yes.
And they've not been adopted?
No, they always are.
They are.
Oh, okay.
They have been adopted.
Okay.
So, can you, for our new board members, just what an IASB resolution is and just a quick
Sure.
explanation?
I'd rather get a little more background and write it up for you.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
happy
great.
to do that.
That
But
sounds great.
basically, the Illinois Association of School Boards every year at the annual school board conference, every districts can put forward resolutions that they would like IASB to adopt. And so it's over a multitude of subjects. And this has been our subject, and then it's voted on. And a lot of times people will ask us questions. But Carla goes, as you can have one delegate, and Carla is the delegate for the board. She goes and is there in the delegate assembly, and it's voted on if it's going to be. And later on, you'll see closer to the conference, this board will say if you agree with the different resolutions that are coming through. So you'll see all of them prior to the conference itself.
Yeah, it's important we
So maybe I don't
continue
need to
our.
write that.
No, yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, we continue our advocacy on behalf of education and issues that are really important to the district. So, okay. Other questions? All right, roll call vote.
Carla, Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Now we're on to reports and discussion items. The first item A is a
I
written.
think we missed one.
Did we miss one?
P.
Oh, the school calendar, I'm sorry. Item E is the approval of the final school calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the amended final FY21 school calendar as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm sorry, who?
A second.
And who made the motion?
Brianna.
Brianna? Sorry.
Sorry,
It's
it's my
okay.
fault.
No, I missed it in the first place. That's on me. Discussion? Roll call vote?
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
and Carla. Motion carries 6-0.
I just wanted to check and make sure our resource officer was here, and he is here. Is that correct? Okay, can you have him come in? Oh, okay. We want to get the PowerPoint set up.
Sure.
If you want to start and
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're on to reports and discussion items for real this time. Item A is a written report and presentation of the school resource officer position. A written memo is provided by the Assistant Superintendent of Education, Bob Machek, regarding the duties of the school resource officer, Dr. Machek, and Detective Matt Neufeld. Woodland School's resource officer will provide a brief presentation for the board and answer any questions the board may have.
Dr. Machek, is there anything you'd like to say before we get started?
Yes, thank you. As Dr. Neufeld is coming in, I just want to say, as a first-year administrator here, Matt has been extremely helpful to me, even during the pandemic, in terms of working with the principals of each of our buildings to make sure that we've met all of our safety standards. And he has been there to run the safety drills, including a lockdown at each school, and then to provide feedback as to how we could be better, how we could be faster. With our safety committee, Matt's been instrumental, particularly in helping us understand some of the needs that our community is presenting with outside of school, and some of the things that families are asking for in terms of assistance. It's just been a really great relationship, and it's been very nice to get to know him and to see what a wonderful resource he is for our district.
And I do want to add, at the beginning of the pandemic, when our schools were not open in person, we were remote, I believe the Gurnee Police Department, we were not paying for you at that time. So they contacted us and said we weren't paying for you at that time, I believe. So that was really a great community partnership where Matt was always still on speed dial for us, but they were having him do other duties. So tonight we just asked Matt if he could explain what a school resource officer is, what a school resource officer isn't, and we thought the best person to do that would be our school resource officer. So please go ahead, Detective.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you, Dr. Casey, for allowing me to come here to speak in front of you all. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy and have busy schedules, so again, I appreciate it. You have the clicker? Next one would be great. So the first thing I did, I guess, was, my name is Matt Neufeld, and the first thing I did when I was accepted into this role, I interviewed at our police department among 4 other awesome candidates, and thankfully I was selected. I've been in investigations for about 10 years, mostly cyber-related things, working with the Illinois Crimes Against Children Task Force. I'm a juvenile officer. And those are just a few of the things I do. I was called out a lot for calls at the school, so usually other school resource officers would contact me in investigations to help them out with different cases. So I was at Woodland a lot prior to being in this role. So I had some familiarity with some of the cases that had come up at Woodland and other schools in District 56 and at the high school. So I'm married. I have 2 children, 2 boys, and I coach sports in another town. I thoroughly enjoy my time there, coaching and watching kids grow in the sport arena. I went to Concordia and received my bachelor's degree there. We go through a lot of training still with the police department. That's ongoing. I also am certified as a school resource officer in the state of Illinois. I did go through training through the National Association of School Resource Officers also. So that's kind of a little bit about me. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the Wheel of Fortune when I kind of intro myself, because I don't do that often. So that's a little bit about me. That's what's good. So what I plan to achieve, anytime I go into a new role, I try and assess things that might need improvement. So the first one, promote safety and identify areas that need improvement. So one of the first things I did when I came over in this role, and even though children weren't in school, was the first thing I did was gave my cell phone number to all the administrators, principals, assistant principals at our schools. And the reason for that was anytime there's an emergency or urgent issue, whether it's a child abuse case or any other case that needs attention right away, I wanted them to be able to call me at any time, day or night. I'm used to that since I was on call as an investigator, but that was one of the first steps that I wanted to take on and make sure that they had my contact information so they could feel comfortable calling me right away. Build positive, lasting relationships with students and staff. That's been a little bit difficult this year just because of COVID, and we haven't been inside the school, but I feel like already I've been able to meet a lot of children on some calls and things like that, whether it's some truancy-related issues, and not necessarily children not showing up to class, but because it's been so hard for them, it's really, for me at least, in my eyes, I feel like it's going out and meeting their families and seeing if they need anything. I've worked with the technology department by bringing kids, making sure their Chromebooks are working or their chargers were working, and getting that connection back between the school and the families. So that's kind of how I felt, the relationship so far with students. I've also worked with students now that we're back in school. There's been some other calls that I've been able to help out with. And I always tell parents when we run into different situations that I'm here as a resource, and that's all I am between the school and families, and whatever I can do to help, that's what I'm here for. Implement programs to connect with students. I taught some cyber safety classes over at the high school, so of course I know teachers are so busy right now with e-learning and back in school and vice versa. So that's something I hope to work on next year with getting into classrooms and teaching some cyber-related classes. I am scheduled next week to meet with special ed class to go over some life skills stuff and some safety things. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be my first time in the classroom, and what a better, I just can't wait. So then teach first grade levels about positive student behavior. That kind of tails off with the special education class for next week. So any way I can incorporate myself into the classroom, I think would be a positive thing. Work with administration to consistently monitor safety plans to create a positive school climate and be available for any needs that arise. I kind of talked about that briefly. The big thing here, too, for the next bullet point is minimizing legal consequences by utilizing diversionary programs such as teen court and formal and informal station adjustments. We all make mistakes, and my kids make mistakes. I still make mistakes, and I'll be the first one to admit that. The last thing I want to see is any of our students getting in any legal trouble. I believe in second, third chances sometimes, but then again, the safety of our schools is at the utmost important. I mean, that's my main reason for being there, is to make sure that our staff's safe, our students are safe, and our families are safe. Could it happen? Absolutely. I won't be the one to tell you that it won't happen, but that's the last resort for me personally, just based on my experience. And I touched on incorporating myself into the classrooms. So anyways, overall, in conclusion, I just want to say thank you. I am very honored to be in the position that I am. I feel like I worked very hard to get here. It's kind of become full circle for me since I first started my college education and secondary education, and now that I'm here, it's very honoring, and I'm humbled to be here, so I appreciate it. So if you have any questions, if it's not today, I've got my cell phone number, so you can feel free to call me with anything that you might have questions about.
Questions?
When school's in session, do you wear your civilian clothes or your uniform?
No, I wear a uniform. There's been some discussion about that and this was brought up by myself because I just attended the National School Resource Officer training, and they had recommended that we dress down like this so that we're more approachable with students. The issue that we haven't, it's on one of my things on my agenda is to discuss with my administration is maybe converting to a uniform like this. The problem therein lies is all the stuff that we are mandated to carry and where that would all go. So that is one of the issues that we're looking at. So.
And Renee, I can recall that was a directive from a previous board, was that they wanted the police officer that was in our schools to wear a uniform, to have a police car and to wear the police uniform so the students knew that he or she was a police officer.
Right. And
a lot of the students in the hallway, they've been awesome to me, and I always say hi to everybody. I don't feel like wearing that uniform, I'm not approachable. But again, it might be a sub-filter. But so far, based on my observations, it hasn't been that way. But it is something that I'd love to discuss.
me too. I feel like Lori picked you out to keep me quiet.
What?
She did a good job.
What's that?
No.
No, I'm saying he's all right with me. He said team court. He had all the good words for me. So. They did good.
And of course, I'm trying to do as much as I can on my end and really get create my own identity within the school.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't want to be that mundane person that just sits there.
Right.
That's not one of my roles. And I have been to every school. I've walked around the exterior of every school. We've already done a number of emergency drills, lockdown drills, and stuff like that, and trying to take into account children's well-being. We're mandated by the state. We did ask for a pass this year because we didn't want to traumatize children.
I guess because one of the things I concern myself with, and they know, is that I am always worried about how children interact with police, especially African American and Latino children. And I want them to always know that the police is the police. But I don't want them to necessarily be afraid of the police, although they are. I do like that you have incorporated teen court. That seems to be important to you. Going
Yeah.
into the classroom, talking to them. That's important to me because I want them to understand that they're not targets.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily feel like that with our last SRO. So,
I can tell you that I've had interactions with many children already, and they've been great with me. They really have. And I don't feel like they feel like they're targets at all. The ones that I've dealt with so far. And I've sat down with their parents too, and we've had great discussions. So I thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
thank you. Good job, Lori. I'm okay now.
And if anything ever arises, she has my phone number, so you can call.
I will.
Okay. Or come over for coffee.
I will.
I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that the position just across the country is controversial, right? And I know that I don't mean to make this sound like a job interview, but I want to talk about the position. But I also am curious, what about the position, right, makes you want to do this work, right? How do you see the position as a valuable, resource for our school and a really valuable thing for our kids? Like, what about this do you like?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, of course, is safety. I want to make sure that I call them at work, I call them my kids, right? Because they really are. I want to make sure that my kids are safe as well as your kids are safe. And that's my number one goal for being in the school, along with our staff, along with our families. So that's of utmost important to me. Secondary, I think getting in the classrooms and really teaching kids. I mean, we want to steer them clear of getting in trouble. I mean, that's my main goal. And that's why I taught over at Warren. There were some issues that arose at Warren, and I won't get into specifics, but a lot of them were cyber related. And that's why I thought it was a good time to step foot in. I stepped foot in an auditorium with tons and tons of children, and I gave a presentation on cyber safety and sexting and things of that nature, because I don't want them in trouble. I want them to make sure they make the right decisions before they make a decision where they might not know if it's right or wrong, right? Just as we do as parents. We want to be good leaders, good instructors for them to ensure that they're doing the right thing all the time. So I think, and this year's been very odd, and this is a new role for me, even though I've been at the school a lot. But I think getting involved with classrooms and getting involved with as many kids as I can, and of course we might have one or two that don't. There was a time at Warren where I gave an hour-long presentation, and a week later they made the absolute wrong decision, and that person was sitting front row in front of me. But overall, I think if I can get as many kids and talk to them, about making right decisions, whether that's life skills in front of special ed next week, or that's in front of a group of 8th graders, but talking to them about phone safety, so that's my main goals.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I really love the component of going into the classroom.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I really love the component of you going into the classroom,
Yeah.
because, when I was in school, when I was teaching, you only dealt with the school resource officer if you were in trouble.
Sure.
So this is giving all the kids access to you. So if they don't feel safe, they know they can go to you. If something's happening at home, they know they can go to you. You're just another person in the building that could be a trusted adult for someone who might not have made a connection to one of their teachers, but maybe they made a connection to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And every encounter that I've had, and it's not bad encounters by any means, but every encounter that I've been involved in, whether the administration needs some type of assistance, I always tell them that they're more than welcome down in my office anytime they want. If they need a break, they can come down and have a break, and we can work that out with administration. So absolutely.
Other questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, disposition of teaching and learning curriculum materials. So we were provided with a brief write-up in compliance with Board Policy 480, disposition of district property, regarding 450 library materials from the intermediate library, which either have not been checked out for the last 2 years to 3 years or are out of date. This will allow for more relevant materials to support the language program and equity initiatives. There is no value to the materials and will be donated to SCARES, School and Community Assistance for Recycling and Composting Education, an award-winning environmental education nonprofit dedicated to creating sustainable communities through innovative and hands-on education programs for schools and organizations. Dr. Casey, do you have anything you want to add?
Not unless there's any questions.
Questions? Okay. C, written report on federal grants for the Consolidated District Plan. A written report in the draft grant was provided in your packet regarding the federal grants for the Consolidated District Plan. This is a plan the Board of Education is required to review and approve annually. The grant provides the Illinois State Board of Education on how Woodland will use federal funds to support the objectives while maintaining compliance with grant requirements. Dr. Thomas is present to answer any questions that we have regarding the plan and provide an overview of the grant.
Sure, the only piece of clarity I want to make is when people read this, it says Consolidated District Plan. This is not what people think is a Consolidated District Plan.
Yeah.
So that's why we changed the wording a little bit on here to say it's a report on federal grants for a Consolidated District Plan. So if anybody has any questions for Dr. Thomas, otherwise.
No questions, just a thank you to all the lengthy work and details that you put into it.
Yeah, and we just say one quick thing. It really, it really is a collection of many of us working together on that grant, or really on the plan itself. So I appreciate your recognition. But yeah, I know it, and I looked at it in board book, and it's 57 pages of very small print.
Yes.
I don't believe a lot of you really,
Yes,
unless you printed it out, really saw it very easily. So we'll see if we can find a better way for people to approve it next time. Okay?
It's called Zoom.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Thomas now that he sat down? Just kidding. Anyone? No? Okay. All right. So next up, we have the written report on the Head Start program. We were provided with an annual report on the Head Start program, which utilizes one classroom and 4 offices at Elementary East. Included in the attachments is the agreement between Woodland School District and Head Start. Dr. Maychek is available for any questions the board may have regarding the agreement. Dr. Casey, Dr. Maychek? Yeah.
Just if there's anything, Dr. Maychek, you'd like to say or add, if there's any questions.
Hi, I will say that it's been a really great experience getting to know Mr. Cruz and the Head Start program. They provide a valuable service to the entire community. 7 of the 11 students currently enrolled are Woodland kids. And from my perspective, it's great to sort of get all those kids on our radar, and we can start getting the resources and supports that those children and, more importantly, their families may need before they actually start in District 50. So it's been a really good relationship, and I'm sorry I don't have a larger frame of reference because, again, as my first year, I understand in the past the enrollment has been much larger than 11, but we're certainly looking forward to working with them next year, and they're looking forward to being back. So, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have a written report on the preliminary budget. So Chris Bobak has provided a written report on the preliminary 2021-22 budget. Over the next several months, the board will review the budget multiple times prior to its adoption in the fall. Chris, you want to say a few words, or should we move right to questions?
I guess, do you want me to get, you know what, I'll say a few words. This is a preliminary budget. I'd like to stress the preliminary portion of that. You'll see a report that I'll do that will be voted on and approved hopefully in June. Then also we'll do one in August and one in September. We're in for another interesting year. We're not quite out of the woods yet with everything that's going on in the world. Thankfully, our local revenues, which are our largest source of revenues, are going to return to some semblance of normalcy. So they're talking about doing distributions and collections as well as they used to do pre-pandemic, which is good because last year there was a lot of delay. They actually delayed a lot of the payments to the spring of this year, which just has not happened. That has a tendency to cross budgets, which makes them look a little bit interesting. So we're going to return to a sense of normalcy with our tax revenues. Our state revenues, in the packet, you'll see that there's a little section on there that says, you know, what if the state decides that they want to cut? Governors come out and said, no, everything's going to remain the same. They're not going to have the increase in evidence-based funding that they had promised at the onset of evidence-based funding. They haven't done that for the last couple of years, but obviously we're in a different situation financially. The pandemic doesn't help out at all. I just got word that the governor, or not the governor, but the state is looking to cut $1.3 billion out of the expenditures. And typically, education's on the chopping block when that happens, although there's been some conflicting reports. You can see in here what a decreased evidence-based funding might do for us. It actually kind of doubles up with us because half of our money goes to the charter school. So instead of it being a 5% cut, it's more like a 10% cut because we bear the full weight of that. I will keep you updated on anything. Well, you'll hear from me just about every month anyway, so you'll hear all of that good stuff. Categorical grants, I had those return back to 4 payments. Last year I had them at 3. The state already is at 3 payments this year. Hopefully they get the 4th one in. That would just be fantastic for us. They'll still be behind, but they're always behind, so as long as we get the payments and as long as they don't cut the payments out. ESSER funding, that's one of the big ones. It's a multi-year grant, so when do we want to spend the money? We don't have to spend all of the money right now. ESSER 1 came out. We spent all of ESSER 1 because it was $400,000. It came out last spring. ESSER 2 is $1.7 million. ESSER 3 is estimated at $3.8 million, so $5.5 million total to spend. That's quite a bit of money. It is to be spent over the course of this year and the following year, so we do have some time to spend it, and we have time to amend each of our applications as before the deadline for each of the expenditures, ESSER 2 being in 2022 and ESSER 3 being in 2023. I can tell you right off the bat, we've had some meetings. We've met with the leadership team, we've met with the educational leadership team, obviously the district-wide leadership team, and with the union. We've talked about where spending might, what we'd like to see. And you're talking about areas where you're looking at safely bringing students back to school. You're talking about unfinished learning. You're talking about the digital divide. You're talking about social emotional. Those are the 4 components, the 4 main components that they want you to focus on. So we've created a list, and that list will probably be an ongoing list as we learn new things and maybe have some new ideas. And we just kind of not necessarily took a straw poll. We went through each of the items with each of the groups to try to determine what are our needs and what are our wants. So we're going to try to set something up for you to give you a little bit more clarity in June and let you know where we're landing, maybe not with all 5.5 million. I can tell you that I want to put as much of the things like PPE as I can into FEMA. Right now FEMA just denied one of our grants. It was for the air purifiers. They said that technically didn't qualify, which did not make me happy. But in there it clearly states, when you read all the regulations, you talk about, you know, gloves and masks and gowns. So all of that stuff we've been shifting over to FEMA, but that's going to end in September of this year, at least the 100% portion of it. So it's a different story what we're going to do with that. Expenditure-wise, we're looking at filling some of the positions that we didn't necessarily fill last year. So even though technically our FTE had been reduced when we came up with the staffing plan, we're going to have more people in. So we're going to see additional expenditures in staffing, subs especially. Subbing next year will probably be a big issue. I will put a little bit extra into the plan due to the anticipation of us coming back fully in person next year. Good news, medical and dental insurance actually went down. That's a rarity. We're talking about 4.9% for the HMO, PPO at 1.1%, so that's good news for us. Our liability insurance went up. We've had a few leaks again this year, so probably next year it's going to go back up again as well. Actually, we got an update on our workers' compensation insurance. It went down. It went down significantly. So the combination of those, I had them up at 50,000. Put a negative sign in front of that, and that's probably closer to where we're going to land. All in all, when we go through everything, I guess you take a look at that final page, and you'll see that there's going to be a $7.2 million deficit, and that's it's an eye-popping number, except for the fact that 6.2 million I've got allocated to capital projects. We've got a very large middle school roof, and we've got some other larger projects that we're going to take care of. And also, we've got money for our one-to-one computer leases at nearly $600,000. So you're actually looking at more like a $500,000 deficit for our operating funds. So not nearly as bad as that 7.2 million. And all of this will be refined as we go along. Questions? That was the briefest overview I can do.
Chris, can you just talk about, just for a second, about when the ESSER funds end, they end?
When the ESSER funds end, okay, so this is the big thing with the ESSER funds. $5.5 million does not last forever. When the ESSER funds are gone, they are all gone. So if we use ESSER funds for things like FTE, we need to be aware that the FTE that we're using it for, and for the purpose and the spirit of ESSER, they should last the lifetime of the grant. So if we're bringing in staff, i.e. something like social workers maybe, for additional help, the spirit of the grant says you bring them in to provide extra support, and when that extra support is no longer necessary and the grant money runs out, then the FTE should, in their eyes, technically go away. So if we start bringing in staff, a lot of times people like to take a look at something that's not just a want for now, but a want for longer than now. And it makes it a little bit difficult when it's time to potentially reduce that person. There's always a kind of a, why do we need to reduce this position? We've gotten used to somebody being here. We need to be very aware that we can't do something like that if we want to be fiscally responsible. The same goes for things like software. You can get all of this nice software that maybe we've been looking at, but at the end of the grant, we can't sit there and provide, into perpetuity an additional $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for software that we're purchasing basically for trying to bring our kids back to a sense of normalcy.
Do the grants have to be approved by the federal government before you receive money, or is it kind of an application that justifies how you're going to spend it, but it's kind of for your own oversight?
So it almost runs like the title grants run now. The federal government gives it to the state allocates it to the school districts. It's based off of the title grant formula. For ESSER 2, they've already given us our final allocation of $1.7 million. The application is due before June 30th of this year. For ESSER 3, ARP ESSER, the application won't open up until sometime in July. That's what they are saying. That one, actually, we have to provide a plan to the Board of Education about how we are going to open up school before they will actually approve that application. I haven't seen it yet. I'm anticipating it's probably also going to be similar to the title grant application, maybe with a little bit more bells and whistles.
Any other questions? I just have a couple of things. First of all, I really appreciate how responsible we're trying to be with this funding coming in. I think that and listening to you, we're definitely trying to do what's best for the kids, learning recovery, and focus on getting people back to a sense of normal school and be safe. And I also appreciate that we're doing this with an eye towards not putting the district and frankly the school board in an unbelievably difficult situation if we commit the money to things that we don't have the financial resources for long term. I think that that's a really important thing. So I feel like it's important to acknowledge that and that we're hearing that because it's a big piece.
And educate people about the fact that that's why we can't add those kind of positions, because you can't, fund them for perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know that.
Yeah. And use important discretion with what we can do. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Written report on lunches for Gurnee School District 56. We have a memo provided to the board from Chris Bobeck with background for providing lunches to Gurnee School District 56. This is a practice done several years ago, and District 56 is looking into the possibility of reinstating the program with service beginning at the start of the 2021-22 school year. Can you provide any additional information, Chris?
I was contacted by 56, and the inquiry was, would this be something we would be willing to do if their board and if their analysis of their operations would allow for it. And I know I had to talk to somebody because I know we've done this in the past. In the report, it'll tell you how we did it. I don't think we would do it any other way. It would be just they would provide transportation for the food. There would be a little surcharge on top of it that would go into the invoice that we gave to 56. This is just in anticipation. This is not something that's going to be set in stone. It's to help a district out that isn't part of the national school lunch program. With how they're doing their lunches right now, they will be able to become part of the national school lunch program if they get their services through us, because we are part of it. They would qualify with their students, and also they'd be going through an approved service provider in Arbor. So I was going to say, Carla would probably be the only one that would have actually been familiar with the program when we were running the program. It really wouldn't be, for us, all we would be doing is just taking invoices and making them and giving them to Gurney. Really no disruption in any of our operations. So I wanted to bring it before the board. I know that they're going to bring it before their board, and I would anticipate that they would have to make a decision before July if they wanted something up and running by August.
In manpower, we have staff that can do that extra work.
So it wouldn't be on us, it would be on Arbor.
Oh, yeah.
And they would be able to do it, because I honestly feel like the numbers that I was given, like the counts of food that was, 500 to maybe 600, something like that, Arbor could supply that. In addition to that, we might ask Gurney to share the cost of our district Arbor. What's the right word for him? The one who manages our district. We'd probably be asking for a little bit of that as well, because it would consume some of his time.
Okay. Other questions? All right. Item G, written report on hybrid learning update. Dr. Casey provided a written report updating the board on hybrid learning since April. The report includes information on the number of positive quarantine cases as of May 11th, an update on summer school and classroom relocation. She also provided information and themes on the focus groups for parents and students, which were held in preparations for the 2021-22 school year. In February, the board asked for monthly updates on student engagement, which is also included in the report. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing I'd like to add. If there's any questions, a couple of things I'd like to highlight. First of all, as you obviously know, our case count is going down, so that's wonderful news. And it's still pretty current from the numbers that are in here from last week. Really great news about summer school. We have 478 students in our Wildcat Summer Adventure Camp, and we weren't sure if we'd be able to staff it, but we're able to staff it. So we're really excited about that. And Jordan Anderson and Dr. Maychek have come up with a great program for the summer that we hope are going to meet the needs of parents and students. So it's the first that we've ever done. So we're really excited about that. Same thing with our extended school year for our special education students. I think that's at the time of this writing, we're still looking for a couple of positions, but we have another 129 students that are eligible for that. So we're very excited about using some of our money to allow these families and these students the opportunity to do that. So just want to thank them for all the hard work they did to get this up and running. It's not an easy task because they still have their day jobs trying to do. So this was great. We ran some focus groups, and you read what was in the focus groups. And what happens is we did a thought exchange with our staff. We did a thought exchange with parents, which we're finalizing now. We did some parent focus groups, and we also did some student focus groups. So I ran the parent focus groups with Dr. Wells, ran one for special education. Elizabeth Sanchez-Cepezi ran one in Spanish. And then Dr. Maychek ran one with our students. So it's one of our largest student focus groups that we've ever done. Dr. Machuk had 158 students that he spoke to between being in person and remote. And some of the answers, he took the questions that we had for the parents and made them more appropriate for students, but it was great to hear what the students had to say and how they felt. So what happens is we take all of this information, and as we're trying to put our plans together for next year, we really try to incorporate all of it together and to see what correlates and you know what doesn't. So that was just really, it was great to read and great to hear about. Moving forward, again, we're working on, we're trying to find options for next year. Obviously, we're working on 5 days a week, everybody back. But one of the things that did come out in our focus groups and when we sent a non-binding survey to parents there are some parents that are very interested in remaining with a virtual option for 1 more year until their children can be vaccinated, whether it was for their children or for somebody in their home. So we've spent a lot of time, as all of my other superintendent friends have been spending a lot of time trying to determine how that will work, working with the Illinois State Board of Education, working with our attorneys to see what we can and can't do. So more to come on that, but that's something we've been working on constantly. We continue to meet to discuss all the logistical and systematic preparations for next year. It's not easy to bring back everybody and still under the guidance that we're under now. You know, to keep children 6 feet away at lunch, it's not easy, so we're constantly trying to do what we can. The principals are amazingly creative, and but we're trying to do whatever we can to remove barriers for them and their staffs, but that's something we're continuing to work on. I said we just finished our thought exchange for parents, and we're finalizing that information. We'll be getting that to you maybe in weekly tomorrow, if not weekly next week. But you'll have that information first, and then we'll go back and share it with all the parents again and our staff. Again, we're always watching the guidance regarding masks and social distancing. We're staying status quo until the end of the school year regarding masks and social distancing. But if any changes occur, I will certainly let you know. One thing that came out of some of our meetings are not only are we concerned about our students, we're concerned about our staff. And we really felt that we needed to focus on the wellness of our staff for next year. So I asked some administrators if they'd be interested in facilitating a committee that would focus on activities to promote wellness and health for our staff. And I can't tell you how many of them stepped up to say they'd love to help with that. And they've already had their first meeting. So we knew it was a need, but it was great to see that our leadership was like, yeah, I want to help, I want to do that, because you know their plates are super full too. So that was awesome. And we'll have representatives from each school and each department on that committee too. We know that students that are 12 to 15 can be vaccinated now, so we're passing on information from the Lake County Health Department. We're working with Grays Lake High School, we're working with Warren about that so our families are all aware of when those opportunities are. So there's one coming up May 23rd at the fairgrounds. That's the big one for the county. They're trying to make it a really fun day. And then we're also working with Warren and District 56 to do one for ours. So the next thing we're working on, which isn't on here because it literally just happened a few days ago, is we're looking at shield testing for next year. Everything that we're looking towards, some pilots we're looking at and things that we're trying to do to keep students in school leans towards that we need to have some type of testing protocol in place. So we don't want to have that, we don't want to wait until the fall. So Dr. Machuk is working with some surrounding districts about seeing if we could begin some of that possibly for our summer school program. And because we're a Tier 2 district, there would be very little cost, if any at all. So that's something that we're hoping to do, sooner rather than later, but be ready to do that in the fall. So, and then Dr. Thomas gave you all the information that you had asked for regarding our student engagement update. So if there's any questions for Dr. Thomas, he's here to answer that. And I appreciate all the data, Steve, thank you. And to all the administrators that were helping gather all this data, and the teachers, really appreciate it.
Is this now the time to ask a question about that?
Sure.
Okay, I have a comment and a question about the student engagement data. I was really surprised to see, or pleasantly surprised to see, the percentage of remote students that are engaged was pretty close to the percentage of students in class that were engaged, which was really, I thought was really great. But I wondered if in the percentage of students who are not engaged, do those numbers tell us anything about the work there will be to do next year and going forward? Are those the same percentage of students over time, or are they different students all the time?
Yeah, so when I reported out last month, I can't tell you if it's the same exact students as what was reported out last month. That I can't really do. We can look a little bit more into depth into that. I mean, the process would be that each school team would be reviewing what specific students are not necessarily engaging and strategies to deal with that. These are more macro numbers, but I can certainly investigate that more.
I was just curious if we, if we already had that information, if we knew.
Yeah, the tools, well, we had a few tools that we've used throughout the year. One tool we used at the beginning of the year was an individual student by student, because one of the things that we saw definitely from the end of last year was that we were not identifying individual students effectively at the school level. So we created a tool for that. And then over time, when we talked more about engagement at the board level, then I came up with these 4 strategies as a way to kind of really monitor where are we at with some kind of summary. So that's kind of, but this is not down to the student level. So I'd have to go really collect that data.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Other questions?
I think this fits in for next year's planning you touched on. If I read it correctly, I saw that ISB and Dr. Ayala talked about everyone will be returning to in-person school except for those that can be remote I think that they medically can't be vaccinated. What does that do for a virtual
Sure.
school? Is that something
That's
totally
the
separate?
That's
or-
the million-dollar question. So several of us watched the ISBE board meeting yesterday, and specifically for this discussion. And this afternoon, the Lake County Regional Superintendent was meeting with the other regional superintendents. There was much discussion about districts being allowed to do what's best for their district and their schools. But the resolution passed that said everybody's going back to school, and unless you have the specific medical need.
Right.
So it was confusing, and many of us are waiting for specific guidance to say what we can do. But I've been working with our attorney, and we've been working with the other superintendents until we have that guidance. We needed to get rolling on this weeks ago, because we're planning schools out in a couple weeks. So we will be getting a survey out as soon as we're meeting again tomorrow morning with our team. As soon as we can get it out, we're going to get it out, but we needed that straight guidance because it was really unclear again yesterday. But if you read it, it says, everybody's coming back 5 days a week unless you have these exemptions. But right now, we don't know if our kindergarten through 5th grade students will be, or even some of our 6th grade will be vaccinated. So those are the parents that have said, I still am not confident. I want my child to go back. Can you offer something for one more year? I was looking at it, and our team was looking at it from, we're a public school, and it would be great to offer this as a choice. We're not saying you have to do it. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do hybrid.
Right.
We want to do remote or in person. That was clear on from every teacher, every parent, every child, don't do hybrid if you don't have to. So that's what we're really trying to do, is if we're for sure going to try and come back 5 days a week, everybody, but we'd like to perhaps offer this other program if we're legally able to do so.
Thanks.
Other questions? This is the last written report on hybrid learning of its kind, right? This is it.
Right.
This is it. So,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
So
That's great.
Yeah, I know. It's great, and
I
at the
never
same
thought
time,
that.
I don't want to
Okay.
miss this milestone, because what a year.
That's great.
Wow. Okay, so thank you. Thank you to you and your team, and for all of the different things that have become a part of your job description over the past year that you probably never imagined. Thanks to our teachers, and thanks to our families. This has been quite the odyssey that we've gone through together, and I just really appreciate that. So thank you.
And some great things have come out of it, and that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to focus on as we move into next year. We've learned some great lessons, and there's some things we can now do better.
Yeah.
That we never would have done if it hadn't been for this. So we're really trying to focus on some of the innovation and some of the things that we're able to do now that we never would have tried if it hadn't been for that. So that's what we're trying to do moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect. Board operations and improvement. We'll discuss various ways to improve the efficiency of meetings and receipt of information via monthly packets. Item A is announcements and committee reports. Does anyone have any updates or committee announcements for the month of May? We can do finance?
We met.
Yep, we did.
We met, we discussed budget a little bit, we discussed, I think, more importantly, might be our next discussion that we have in June. We discussed a little bit of the roof. What else did we discuss, Joe?
A lot of what you talked about.
Yeah, that ESSER
Was
funding.
the ESSER, that's
and
right, we did go over the ESSER. That
You
was the
showed
big
us
thing.
the
Sorry, I've done that 4 times now.
topic.
And some of the environmental impact stuff that we were talking about. But yeah, what about policy?
Policy didn't meet this month.
We didn't meet again.
Dr. Little had some policies she wanted to bring back, so we hope to meet next month.
Okay, great. Anything else? All right. Then B, board improvement status requests and future board items, a discussion of board member representation on committees. So at our May 4th meeting, we discussed an overview of the national, state, local, and district committees. 2 district committees were added to the list, the negotiations team and the superintendent evaluation committee. So we can discuss who will be representatives and alternates for each of the committees. The list of committees and current representatives was provided in your packet. Okay?
Sure, so if we want to start with the first one and just go
Yeah,
down and
sure,
see.
absolutely.
What is there a limit to the number of people that can be on a committee before it becomes the
Yeah.
a meeting?
Right, before it becomes a quorum, yes.
Right, so it's-
Yes, so you can't have more than 3.
Hmm.
And we post, like our policy committee, do we post those? Yes. So we post when we've had, Renee and you and I, and we've had more, not I, but Renee and you and somebody else was on that committee too, but we've posted those. So if there's more than 3, then we post it as a meeting.
Well, I'll begin by saying that I'm on many, and I'm
Yes.
honored
Yes,
to
you are.
serve. I'm able to, but that does not mean I have to, so please, anyone speak up who would like to, and I can take a back seat. I will not be offended. I don't want people to think that just because my name is there, it has to stay there, and they can't,
I like the policy committee, except that I usually can't get there
Yeah.
at 4:30. That's the problem for me.
And the policy committee can be whatever time the board would like the policy committee to be. We've just adjusted it based on, whoever was on, whatever board members were on the committee. So if anybody would like a different time, there's been years we've had it in the morning because people were able to come in the morning. There's been years we've had it after, at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So that's entirely up to the board. We'll be there.
I think we kind of got what we were, kind of back when Terry was here, I think,
Mhm.
something, and that's just what it's been.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get here before 5:15. So maybe not really.
So should we let's just work
Yeah.
down the list. NSBA, so this is Carla, right, is our representative to the NSBA. And the IASB in her role as board president. I've been the alternate. I'm happy to continue to do that. Okay, anyone? Okay, all right, so Ed Red. Any volunteers for Ed Red?
Ed Red meetings are normally during the day on Fridays, so that was part of the reason that, and now they're all virtual, so, we can watch them virtually, but they are during the day, usually like can't remember which Friday, but a Friday during the month.
So they're right in the middle of Friday, so I can't do that because of work, but is anyone interested? It's the sort of the way that we advocate for the district politically.
I would be interested in that.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
And I have the flexibility to attend.
Okay.
Great.
It's really interesting.
It is
I gotta
very
say,
interesting.
yeah.
We've got a lot of good topics.
And I attend a lot of them.
All right, legislative planning and action.
So this was the committee that we had talked about when we were with Chris. It was part of our strategic plan. We were talking about different areas of legislation, particularly state charter school funding. That was the purpose of that committee.
Okay. I'll do that one. Okay. CEDAW. Special Ed District of Lake County?
Me.
Okay,
I'm
great.
very interested in that.
Kind of thought so. All right. All right, so our district committees, policy committee, once a month after school to discuss and revise policies in accordance with legal changes. Any volunteers for policy committee?
What does it mean by after school? Like immediately after school?
Sure, it can be whatever time the
Okay.
board would like it to be. Currently, we meet at 4:30. That's what time worked for Jen Hawk and Renee, people at the time, and Lizzie. But like I said, we could do it whatever time people would like to do it. We've been doing them, obviously, recently we've been doing them via Zoom. So it's worked out. People have been able to do it from their homes, so whatever the board would like.
If we push it back a little bit,
Sure,
like 5:15,
sure, of course.
then I'll do it.
Okay. So.
Wait, Laura has a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
For policy, if we push it, are we still going to do it? What day do we want to do it on?
So we normally do it on Thursday, the first
that's
Thursday
fine.
of the month? Is that what we do? Thursday?
Second Thursday.
Second
Thursday.
Does
Still okay.
5:15 work for you, Lizzie?
Mhm.
Okay. And I do remember Carla mentioned she may be interested in this, so we could certainly check with her and see if she is. And 5:15 may work for her.
Finance and facilities. I'll do this one. I'm in.
Yeah, it's, you mean Corey?
Yeah.
I've been really bad. I'm
But
sorry.
if somebody would like to take my place, Jeffrey?
That would be better.
Did you volunteer?
Yeah.
Did you volunteer yet?
I said I still was, unless someone wanted to boot me off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So Joe, Lizzie, and Corey?
Yeah. The Woodland oh, wait, nope, skipped one. That's been happening. Community Relations District Pride.
So that one is led by Stacy Anderson and Brooke. And again, it was part of our strategic plan.
So I will say that I am open to any of the next three.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew.
Yep.
The foundation's not going to be starting again until the fall, and those meetings are usually about like once a month. And the same thing with Community Relations and District Pride, those are once a month. Those are normally right after school, meaning about 4:15, only because there's a lot of teachers that are on that committee, so that's what's convenient for them.
I bring my daughter with.
Sure, and people do that. That's fine. There's nothing there that's, that you can't talk about in front of her, so, it's absolutely fine.
Okay, then I'd like to do the community relations in District Pride.
Great.
For sure.
And I did PTA, but I haven't really participated remotely. But I think either of you two have been involved in the PTA as parent, so I'm glad to have somebody more representative do that.
I am very happy to do PTA. I'm
Okay.
very involved in the PTA, so
You're there anyway, so it's
I will be there anyway. And how many people do we need for community relations? Because I was also interested in that.
You can certainly be on it, and sometimes it's nice if you work together and one's the alternate, so,
Sure.
if you've got, sometimes, and a lot of what happens sometimes is the meetings are all on the same day for some reason, and so it's great if somebody wants to be an alternate, that's fine too.
Okay.
You want to be which do you want to be the lead
I would be
on?
the alternate.
For which?
Oh, for community relations.
Okay. Then I can be the alternate for PTA.
Okay.
Perfect.
Foundation? Any takers on the foundation? When did you say it's getting going?
So, I've met with the current president, and we're hoping to get it going again in the fall.
Okay.
But the role would be that you would attend the meetings, and Corey, I think his hand just got raised.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I saw it.
I did too.
I'm doing it. I'm
Either
in.
that or he was going like this.
I'm in. Put my name
It's a
down.
great group of people. They do amazing things for our students. And we really need to get it back up and running again. So it would be wonderful to have you represent on that committee. That would be fabulous. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay. Negotiations. I'll do this one.
I'll still.
And I believe Carla was doing it too, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was
I believe she
interested
said
in
she
it.
wanted-
She did the last one, but not the one before.
Right,
so.
so we could check, we were gonna check with her tomorrow to see, so we can check with her on that, we could put a question mark.
Yeah, okay. Superintendent Evaluation Committee.
I'll be an alternate.
You be alternate, did you say? Great.
I'll be alternate.
Okay. I'll do this one. And that wraps it up. Wow, that went great.
Super, thank
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who was always on Superintendent? Joe, Renee, and Corey?
Joe was on the he was the current member, and then Corey and Renee were the alternates.
Okay.
And that usually is with more than one person, so that might be the three of you
Yeah.
together, or two of you together, or whatever.
But you need more than one person?
Yeah,
Then it'll be me and Joe.
great. Great.
So I would assume that we would get more information about like EdRed, things like that you would send it what information you have to us.
Yeah, so now that we know who's on each committee, we can certainly send you that information. So we'll send you everything on EdRed, and we'll send you that information. We'll, get you the contact times and dates. It won't be by tomorrow, but it'll be within the next, week or so, right?
Okay, thank you. Item B is the discussion of the superintendent search process. So at our December 17th meeting, the board was provided with proposals from superintendent search firms to begin the process to find a replacement for Dr. Casey at the end of her tenure in 2022. At that time, the board asked the discussion to be postponed until the new board was seated in May. The board will begin the discussion of the process and let the administration know if there's any information needed. So we're going to talk about it and let you know. Did you have anything to?
No, the purpose of it tonight was I knew we have two new board members who haven't had the previous information from the search firms. The previous board did have them come and speak and just share a little bit about what they do and how they do it. And then the board, discusses in open what type of process perhaps you're looking for, all of those things. So, and then the goal is to come to an agreement on which, if you're going to use a firm, which firm to use, just how you want to move forward. It's entirely up to the board.
Does anyone have anything that they want to say? Because I do think we should probably wait for Carla's input on it as a board president. Like that's a huge role. So
I was just going to ask if you have any idea or like timeline of when is kind of the last time we should have picked who we're going to use,
sure.
and so we kind of know how long we have to wait,
Yeah,
or
we're late.
how fast we should be working.
You should be working very fast. There's only because the timelines of everybody. Many times they name the person. I was named 1.5 years before I took the position. So sometimes people are named in the fall, so that person, you work through the year. Sometimes they're named by Christmas or by winter break. So it's you want to do it sooner rather than later, so that you can get the process moving, because if you go with a firm, it's such a long process.
So I don't think we're ready to choose a firm tonight.
No.
Right?
I just wanted to put it on here so
Yeah.
Brianna and Anna could see it, and also to see if there's any additional information. Sometimes somebody may say, we heard of this company, can you please get us information from that company? We tried to get as many as we could for you, but we're happy to get any other information that you would like. And you'll see, and once you hire the firm, they'll do the timeline. They'll say, okay, now that you're starting now, here's how the timeline would work.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Maybe. Looking over my notes.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of them, McPherson, can we find out where specifically they're going to be advertising? It's included in their quoted price.
Sure.
Because it just says, we would be responsible for advertising beyond state school board and administrator associations. I don't know what those are, so I'm not able to compare them to some of the other places listed in some of the other quotes. The same for the School Exec Connect, what's included. in advertising that we would not be spending more on.
Any other questions or, no? Okay, let's move forward.
Great questions.
The discussion of school board governance recognition. So an email was received May 13th from IASB, making the district aware that the school board governance recognition application is due by August 1st. The board will discuss our desire to apply for the recognition. The application was in the packet. Would you like to apply for the recognition?
Did we not start this
So
last year
we
and
talked
had
about
it?
it last year, and they changed the requirements. So in the past, you had to have 2 trainings from ISBE, and we did one previously when I began. From everything we could read, they've taken the 2 training requirement away. But as we read through it, it's a board decision, but I would love for you to consider it.
Do we qualify?
I think you do.
I think we had decided
Let's
last
go
time
for
that
it. Yeah.
I
the
think
only
we
thing
do.
we were missing was the training
Right.
component, and that's why we did it.
I think we do. And it's certainly something that what I would ask for is a couple of board members to work with my team and I, because there's a lot of writing that goes along with this. So it's a lot of work. So if it's something the board wants to do, then we would need somebody that's willing to help us with the time to do this.
I nominate Joe.
Yeah, I'll volunteer. Yeah.
He's
Wow.
perfect at writing.
He is.
Thank you. Yeah, I would be happy to help. Does anyone want to
Okay.
join me?
Probably Carla.
Did you
Okay.
say probably Carla? Yeah.
She's that kind of nerdy one.
Yeah.
Great. I'm super fortunate. I've got extremely skilled writers too, with people that you're looking at right now in the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah,
So
they are.
I can write you a legal brief.
Yep.
Right. So it's great to have different people that write in different styles when you're writing something like this, and we all, we would write in different styles, so that would be great. So, okay, if the board would like us to do this, I think we should go for it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay?
Joint Annual Conference Registration and Attendance. Registration and housing for the Joint Annual Conference in Chicago, it's November 19th through the 21st, opens June 8th. At this time, IASB is planning on an in-person conference. Housing fills up quick. Administration would like for attendees to be in the same hotel that they are staying overnight. So they're asking for consensus on the hotel and those who are attending, so Laura can register everyone on June 8th. Amizi, does anyone have any preferences for that? It's a great conference. It's really important. Over the years, I have tried to commute to it, go early in the morning, and it's just like it's a sea of people. It's crazy. It is better to stay overnight if possible so that you can be fresh and ready for a full day of sessions. So I strongly recommend that, but I have no preference for which hotel we stay in.
Where did we stay last
Nor
time?
do I.
Yeah.
Where did we stay last time?
We stayed at the Fairmont once, and we stayed, several times, and we stayed at the Hilton. Hyatt.
Hyatt. I like the Hyatt, but I don't care.
I do know.
Sure, of course.
I do know that the Hyatt is where the conference is held, so that particular hotel is extremely busy. I know that there have been members who are still on the board who would prefer not to stay at the Hyatt just for that reason.
I think it's the Fairmont that's a little quieter.
Fairmont is definitely quieter,
That's
yes.
Yeah, I like that. I like the quiet.
I agree.
I think I like the Fairmont better just because it's less congested and it's easy to get
Yeah, it's right
to everything
there.
else is in walking distance. So
It's a half a block from the Hyatt.
I mean
so
the
it's-
elevators at the
I
Hyatt.
like the quieter one. Which one is the darker one?
The Hyatt.
The Hyatt is the darker one?
I think.
Fairfield
Where do I
is
get my
very
best
small.
Where what?
My best jokes.
Yeah, where does she tell her best jokes?
Oh, I have to think of where
That's
that
both.
was.
That's everywhere.
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, is either one considerably more
I'll go
expensive
with
would be
I think
Yeah,
the
so
Fairmont.
Laura,
The
Fairmont's
shopper,
actually
the
cost us.
costs are fairly very similar, very similar.
It's usually within a $20 price range for the hotels. And what they usually will do, what IASB will usually do, will give you a conference rate, and those rates usually do stay pretty much the same throughout all of the hotels, who they're supporting. If there is a difference in price, it's, like I said, probably $10 to $20 per
Pretty
night.
minimal.
It's typically the weekend when the holiday lights parade or whatever that is.
Yes.
And so many families are at the Hyatt too, so it becomes
It is.
congested even more so with families and school board people.
Yeah, that sounds like consensus to me. Is that?
So I just want to make sure we hear from everybody that everybody is
Yeah.
interested for which nights, Friday night, Saturday night. The conference goes into Sunday morning. If there's sessions you'd like to attend Sunday morning, some people leave Saturday after the last session. Some people stay and we'll do we have other things that happen at night. But so I just want to know if everybody is interested Friday night and Saturday night.
I can't do the hotel that weekend, so I'll just do the registration for the conference.
Okay.
And I
I-
believe
I
that
will
the
be
conference
interested.
itself is Saturday, correct? But Friday has a lot of
Right.
pre-conference sessions, half-day, morning session, afternoon session, and all-day session. So you don't have to go on Fridays
Right.
either.
Right.
During the day,
Some
you
people
could
come
come
down
by
to
the night,
Saturday.
or you could come Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Anna, what would you like to do?
I would say Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Same, Friday, Saturday.
I'll do both.
Okay. You're doing both?
Yeah, me too.
And Carla, I'm sure will.
I'm sure Carla will do both.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll keep you posted once we hear from them on where we're allowed to go.
So did we decide on the Fairmont or the Hyatt?
I heard the Fairmont.
Fairmont.
That's what I heard too, but I just
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
I
confirm.
would
So,
definitely
okay.
prefer that, yeah.
Okay,
It's a great
wonderful.
conference,
And
too.
is this the one where Cube is?
Yeah.
And we've got our presenter.
Yeah, and Brooke and
Yeah,
Carla.
and Brooke and Carla, yeah. Okay. Gurney Days update.
This is for you. So we will know as for sure June 1st, but it is looking really good that we're going to have Gurney Days again this year. So nothing is finalized, but we are hoping that that's going to happen. So I've contacted our middle school band, and they're super excited to get the band back together and be ready for Gurney Days. We're being cautious until June 1st to hear. It's going to be modified. What I'm hearing is it's going to be modified. It's not through the Gurney Days Corporation anymore. It's through the Park District. So they're not, for example, they're not going to have the carnival rides they've had in the past. They are going to have the parade. We're doing some things for Rib Fest. But, so we'll get some people together to work on our float. I don't know what the theme is yet this year, but I'm super excited that it may be coming back. So, again, nothing official, but I just wanted the board to know before, it goes out. So we'll see. I'll let you know once I hear officially.
Chris, I'll let you know about the float.
The amazing float
The amazing
that's in the
float.
works.
Okay, all right. So now citizen statements. Are there any citizen statements?
No.
No? Okay. Do we have any need to return to closed session? I don't think we
We do not.
No. Okay. So can I get a motion to adjourn the May 20th, 2021 governing meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla. Motion carries 6-0.
I didn't get to vote on that.
Oh, did you say Joe?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry,
That's
Joe.
okay. Yeah,
Joe,
no, it was never in doubt, yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right, thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good night.
All right, good night. Hey, great first board meeting. Nice job.